Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 7th day of April, 2020. Well, together we have an 11 energy if you include the month in on the numerology for today. Otherwise, we have a 7, which is a number for magic and balancing, shadow side of selfless spirit or polarity, but empaths would know it as the day to definitely be in the observer role. If you think about a physical expression or a pictorial expression of the 7, you can think the scales, and so you would have the first 3 in the one pan, then the 4th position in the resting point, and then the other 3 in the other pan. So there you would see your 3 3, and then the position 4 would be the 7, right? So it's basically a day for balance and just letting things come to their rest, um, and just take a look around, before you make a decision on anything. When things are still in flux, when things are still in flow, um, you don't know. Things could resolve themselves on their own, basically. Or if you let everything just sort of settle out, then you can get a clearer picture of where things stand, maybe. So there's a lot of ways to look at the 7 energy. But I would encourage you, particularly um, because life has changed so dramatically here. We're social distancing. We're staying home, staying safe at home. We're doing all these things now to try to protect ourselves, wearing masks, cloth masks in public, gloves, of course, uh, anything to not breathe in what might be there, and as a result become ill. So with luck, then, if we're all doing that, then nobody gets sick. But we know that's not going to happen. We know people are still going to become ill, as are happening now. So again, do what you can to not only protect yourself but others. Wearing the mask, it's not just for you, it's for the grocery checker that isn't wearing one. I don't know. I think that we have to view them no different than we do doctors and nurses. Unfortunately, maybe we are, and we're not providing them what they need to stay safe throughout the day, while they're at work, being there for the rest of us, because that's what they're doing. Anybody at we don't have self-service here in Oregon, although I heard a rumor that they might have it during this time, but I don't know. Uh, at gas stations, Oregon doesn't have that. We actually employ people to do that, and so you know, uh, again, they're on the front lines. They're having to be in contact with people all day long, and they're doing it in varying levels of safety. So I don't know. The astrology isn't much different here today than it was yesterday, but we'll go over a little bit here. Excuse me. Allergies are really, really getting to me right now. And I have to go out there today and start working in the garden, getting things ready. But we have a dome greenhouse, and I've got to pull out. I never take out the stuff from the year before, because just in case there's critters that might benefit from them, from what's left, the seed that drops, and just different things that they might be able to benefit from in the wintertime. So I just leave it. And then I have to go out in the spring. And I love the people that don't do that, because, their gardens look so great over the wintertime. Everything's so neat and manicured. Mine, on the other hand, is completely unruly. So I don't know. But I have to go out there, and it's going to be probably 60 out there today. So, and then I think Friday it's supposed to be, my husband said it's supposed to be 71. So we're starting to see an increase in temperature. So it's time to get outside and start clearing out all the dead stuff and get ready for the new. And then I'm also going to start my seeds probably tonight. I'm going to do it in wet paper towels, and and oh Lord, I'm going to have to mark them so that I know what's what. And I don't know. There'll be little one, more than one seed pack there to a um, one of those Ziploc baggies, because that's what we put them in. We wet the paper towels down, put the seeds on there, fold them up, and stick them in, and we blow air into the baggie itself and seal it. And then it creates just a little environment, a little mini greenhouse. And then we go stick it under the LED lights, and then they just do their thing. And it just seems to be the better way, I think, of starting seeds. Then you know which one's going to be viable and which one isn't. So anyway, then you just plant a little sprout in the ground, or well, not in the ground, but in the little reservoir that I have in my, because you get those multi-site inserts you can put into the, well, anyway, if you've ever grown something, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I got a friend request. That's interesting. I never get friend requests on Facebook. Anyway, we have the moon in the 6th house of Libra right now. It's full. I'm not sure if it's gone full yet. I think maybe it has, or maybe it's later on in the afternoon. I have to look. I'll know that when I do the correspondences for today, because I have a lunar phase section in that, so I can look. I just don't remember. But I got some pictures of the maiden moon last night. She was lovely, very bright. Venus was equally bright on the other side, and they were looking at each other. The moon and Venus were all looking at each other. Let's see. Sirius was bright, but Venus was the brightest last night. It was just incredible. Really, I took a picture of it. It was so bright with my phone. If I could actually get it. So it's quite bright last night. But anyway, harmony and peace with a partner today. Libra's about balance and harmony and all of that, and justice as well. Don't get in the way of someone who's a Libran. I'm a Libran. when justice needs to be exacted, it's like, oh no, you're not going to get away with that. And so anyway, but it's also in the 6th house. It's also a day to get organized. It's a day to be concerned about your health. And so protect your health today. Sun's in the 12th house Aries. Still, again, balance, self-assertion with reflection. We're hunkering down right now, and we're not just doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for others as well. There's a lot of vulnerable people out there, a lot of older people, a lot of people with compromised immune systems. I suppose I'm still technically one of them, although I think my immune system at last report was doing pretty well. But I know what it is to have to be worried about such. I was for a long, long time when I was really ill. But it's understanding that this simply isn't just you in the equation. There's other people involved as well, even people you don't know. Let's see, focus on what's happening now, what's realistic that can happen now. That's still in effect, Sun, semi-square Venus. Mercury, 11th house Pisces still. Intuition is strong right now. I mean, in some ways, we're having to rely on our intuition. We're having to also rely on our governors and medical professionals, because the federal government isn't doing its job. So consequently, whatever they are doing, it's a day late and a dollar short, and it's not going to be enough. It'd be real surprising if they could get it together. But by now, see, we're, what is it? We're always 2 weeks behind everything. Is that what they're saying? So, this was silly to do this. It was negligent. It was criminal, frankly. Let's see. I should go back to Venus. Venus, 1st house Gemini. Be aware of others. Nurture the feminine side. Gemini can be really social. Do it from a distance. Venus trine Mars. Senses are heightened today. Again, I think it also intuition. I think that it's almost like we're having to go a little bit on instinct right now. Let's see, Mars, 10th house Aquarius, original thinking regarding your career is favored. That people are either losing their jobs or they're having to do them from home. figuring out ways to make all that happen when you're just not accustomed to it. It's not that it can't happen. It's just you got to figure out another way to do things. Some things you might not be able to do right now. Again, focus on what's realistic, what can happen, and try to do that. Let's see, Jupiter, still ninth house Capricorn. You know, again, that sort of goes along with life purpose and expanding your horizons, but doing it in a more creative way than what we've been able to. Thinking outside the box. Saturn, ninth house, Saturn, ninth house Aquarius, conjunct Pluto, how we express power matters. That's one of the things today. Saturn conjunct Pluto, how we do that matters, because with things intensifying, and where was that? Venus trine Mars. Yeah, I knew that Mars was involved. I just didn't think it was Mars itself. Let's see. Well, with Venus it is. It's in trine. The idea with senses being heightened. That's important. You know, we want to break out of the the routine that we're in right now. We want to go do something else. You've got to do it safely. That's the point. You're feeling that urge today, and think about it this way: it's all happening in cycles, all happening in waves. Today, you may have just a little excess energy wave that's going through. Use it to be safe. Use it to think outside the box. Use it to plan for the future, even if you can. Maybe you're still just taking things day by day, and that's okay. It doesn't mean, you know, if you're home, it doesn't mean you actually have to do anything. You can binge watch all kinds of things if you've got Netflix or anything. You can just sit and watch TV. Although I would stay off the cable channels with news constantly. Okay, those, I don't know. I think it's too much. You can be online, you know, but again, pick your poison, because it can be too much. So, you know, the life direction is changing. Maybe. How we think about things is changing. Our perceptions are changing. You can't go through something extreme like this and not have that happen. So I think that this is a time of reevaluation. It's a time of just trying to stay well. So please do that. So anyhow, let's get going with the reading. And you know, I just think that there's really we're kind of just in the same little space right now, and we've been in for a while, and we're going to be there a while longer. So I'm going to take the 13th card each time, as you know, if you haven't been here before. Just for randomness sake, I'm going to do 3 cards. We'll do another one if we need to. I did 5 a couple of times, which is crazy. I never do that many. But then we'll do a rune from the Elder Futhark bag, and then we'll close out with the Geomancy rune. Right now we open with the Hanged Man. 12th card of the Major Arcana, a 3 energy, mind, body, spirit. Perfect on this full moon day, the mother phase. Tomorrow will be the crone. I don't work magic on the full moon. I bask in it. I usually work it during the crone phase. You can do a triple aspect working. If you know the exact time, which I don't, of the full moon today, you could, just in the few minutes before the exact time and the few minutes after, you could work a triple phase working, triple aspect working of maiden, mother, and crone. So if you had something where you wanted to do a beginning, middle, and end to it, you know, you can always do that on a full moon day, or you could just work the magic on the particular days themselves. So something for, you know, new beginnings on the maiden day, so that would have been yesterday, bringing something to fulfillment today, with the using the power of the full moon to bring full enlightenment to something. You could do that. A spell for clarity. I like to work it on the crone face because I'm a crone, so I just align better with that. It's a little calmer. I can focus a little bit better, and so you basically are dealing with, you could deal with just about anything. I mean, theoretically, you don't deal with banishings or anything like that during this time. But if you work it on the crone phase of the moon, with a little extra shoring up, a crone can do anything. So you could do maybe a little bit of that, or banishing illness even. Or you could just set some intention for the rest of the month. Typically, you do that on the when the moon is new. But it's just that over the course of the full moon, you've got the power of Maiden Mother Crone at work. So again, if you set it up properly, you can do these same things during this time. So, and you get the extra power of the full moon behind it. So anyway, something to think about in these dicey, deceptive times. Well, here we have Strength, the 8th card of the Major Arcana. So we're going to have 2 cards from the Major Arcana today. That's usually what happens, by the way, lately. The last couple of days, though, not so much. I think yesterday we didn't have, was it yesterday we didn't have any at all? I think that's what it was. I mean, my God, we've only had 1 day so far this week that I've done this. You'd think I could remember, but no. I finished the other mask for my husband, the smaller, more compact version, not the kind with the pleats. So I finished that yesterday, so that was cool. I never thought I'd be cutting up pillowcases to make masks, but honestly, the fabric's thicker. So, and I mean, it depends on the pillowcase, obviously, but I have some older ones where, it's actually pretty thick material. So it actually worked out. I'm not using them anymore. So why not? Here we have the seven of Cups. Now, I'm going to put that in the center, I think. And that way we can look upon spirit informing our dreams, basically. I think that, you can look at the 7 of Cups in a couple different ways. And yeah, I move the cards around. It's your reading. You can do that. Got to make it make sense to you. But here we have Cups, and Cups is the water element. So we're talking emotions, compassion, intuition, although the fire element can also align with intuition. But here we have a lot of cups with a lot of different things in them. We've got a snake in one, a hat in another, a head in one. We've got looks like a castle, a tower from a castle in one. Jewels in another, a wreath in another, a little elemental creature in the other one. I can't tell if that's a griffon or what it is. But the clouds are kind of murky looking. And we can think about this in terms of keeping our heads in the clouds and not seeing things realistically. I hesitate doing that always, because I think that the only way that, you could think about this if you're, say, in college, and it could indicate you're dreaming new dreams for after you've got your degree and all the things you're going to be able to buy with the money you're going to have because you've put your time in college. And hopefully that means you're going to, then when you get out of college, you'll have a job that, you can make a nice income with. And so maybe you're dreaming about that. So you see, I don't like to always refer to that way. 7 is allowing things to settle out to see what you have. It's about balance, keeping things in perspective, maybe. So that could be another indicator for why they attach this to the 7. But I think it really matters, the cards that it's sitting around, as to what it means. On its own, though, it could just simply mean that your head's in the clouds and you're not being very realistic. And right now, what was it? Was it Venus? Yeah, Venus trine Mars. Senses are heightened today, but Sun semi-square Venus. See what's realistic, what could actually happen right now. So I think that it could have something to do with that. If we're moving from the standpoint of ego and not spirit, then obviously it's going to be a little harder to keep things into perspective, into some kind of balanced perspective today. But that's really, I think, what we're talking about. And here we're going to do that by aligning in source presence with the Hanged Man. A 3 energy is mind, body, spirit balance, basically, or alignment. And here you can see with the glow around his head that spirit's informing ego. We see triple aspects throughout. You see it with the gallows pole itself. You've got 1, 2, and 3. You've got the same here, 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3. But basically, this is about surrender. And it's a surrender to greater forces, and allowing that to control how we see things. Again, you know, if you're just looking at the 4 and the 7, 4 being for April, 7 being for today, the number for today, you're looking at an 11 energy. You have a 22 years, so you have 2 cosmic energies here, 2 master builder energies, both with the month and today and the day together. That's an 11, and then you have the 22. So you have the 22, which is the cosmic builder, the most powerful number we have. We're in a 22 year, so what we're talking about is a profound level of change, a soul level of change, basically. And so if you're looking at the 11, both the 11 and the 22 within the reading, well, actually, you're not. You're looking at an 8, but you're looking at in terms of the numerology, not in terms of the reading. But you have an 11 that reinforces at least part of that. Then you're looking at awareness, and you're looking at soul level awareness instead of having an ego-based experience. If indeed that's what that is, you need to align in source presence and bring that into a little bit better balance. Moving to the 8, we have the card of strength, where we're balancing the wild within, we're taming the wild within. We see the woman dressed in white. She's got her hand on the lion's head. She's basically almost opening its mouth. It's about unconditional love and trust, isn't it? But trusting not in the ego, but in spirit. That spirit will control the whole situation. You see the lemnis gate above her head, indicative of cycles. The infinity symbol. But 8 is, I always say, think the God tier, think the rune Tiwas. And the spiritual warrior within. 8 is about a greater level of harmony. It's a greater level of awareness, the awareness of the collective, basically. And here you could say the collective for her is ego versus spirit. Because if you think of the individual in a circle, that's really what you're dealing with. You're dealing with all shades in between, but you're dealing, the polarity is between spirit and ego, isn't it? And in a sense, that's what we have here. Let's look at a rune. I think that there's strength to be found within this moment that we're in, this difficult moment. It's such an emotional time because things are happening that we can't control. The only control we have is to just stay out of it, stay away from it, but maybe we can't. Maybe our jobs don't permit us to. And we're not in a position to just say, look, you know, I'm going to step away for a while till this is over. Maybe we can't do that. And we have to be out. If we do it, we've got to do so safely. We've got to do so with an eye toward other people, not just ourselves. We have Degaz, which is the 23rd rune from the Elder Futh Arc. I'm going to draw this one out so you can see the flow of energy with it. And the other runes that comprise it. You're talking about a new day here. You can think about one phase ends and a new one begins. We could be dreaming about the new phase in this, I don't know. But I really think that moving away from fear and into acceptance and into resolve of, okay, this is what's happening now, we have to get through it. We have to do it in one piece. We have to do it intact. We have to help one another, you know, within the whole process. So, but here is Degas. Looks like a bow tie. There's Degas. On the ends, we have Isa, the 11th rune of the Elder Futh Arc. You know, Degas energy-wise, I mean, you're talking the 23rd rune, so it's a 5 energy. So we're talking change and fulfillment. Again, one thing ends, another thing begins. Energy at its saturation point becomes its opposite, and no, that's not mine. That's somebody else that's completely brilliant. I just thought that was so cool, so I wrote it down in my little room grimoire. I keep one so that I write down what other people say, and because sometimes it's just so intense. It's like for Uru's drizzle. It's the forming essence behind the actual effort to form. In other words, it's the thought. I don't know. I just thought that was so cool. But there you have Gebo, balanced energy exchange in the center. You also have Lagus in all directions. So flow of spirit in all directions. And you have Kenaz, the light of spirit, or the torch, in all directions. You see that, right? I did that here. Did I get everything? I think so. If you turn Degas this way, then you have the beginning of the Merkaba as it's coming together. You have fire and water, basically. Water moves into passive earth. Fire moves up into active spirit. But Degas is one of those powerful runes that indicates major changes on the way. I'm sure that it has something to do with, you know, the 22 energy as well. Although there you're looking at Ingus, but that's the seed, and so we have the sudden release of energy. Well, that's basically what's happening right now. You know, we're having something go on that is unexpected, and although not really. I mean, to think that, you know, a new virus can't come out there. Of course it can. They're happening all the time. So, you know, hopefully you get ahead of it. It doesn't turn into a pandemic, but sometimes it can. So, you know, to think, oh, this is not something we've ever seen before. Well, of course we have. You just deal with it. You know, you don't fire the pandemic crew. You actually, you do what you can, you know, to make sure everybody's okay. Well, here we have Caput Draconis. Turn that off. For the Geomancy rune. And again, the Draconi are, you have Kata Draconis and Caput Draconis. Caput is about the head of the dragon. Kata is about the tail of the dragon. Kata is considered evil. But it's really not. It's just about karma and our past lives and all of that, how that influences, you know, what we're doing in the present moment. And then Caput Draconis being the head of the dragon, we're talking about the north and south nodes of the moon, by the way. And so Caput is the north and Kata is the south. Well, with Capit, we're talking about new direction, a new day, a new way forward, changes in the future. And here's the rune. Passive influence for fire and active for everything else, for air, water, and earth. And the runes are placed in that order. So this would have been for fire, but it was a 2 dot, and so that's what I threw down. The rest were all single dots. There's for air, water, and earth. See, otherwise on the other side you've got 2 dots. I just thought it was easier to do it that way than to throw a bunch of peas down or a bunch of beans down and then count them, because it's in the dark. I mean, why would I do that? Makes no sense. But you can do it that way. In a pinch, if you're outside, you just need to grab something. Whatever you grab, if you count them and you throw them down and you've got an even number, that's 2 dots. It results in 2 dots. An odd number would result in 1. So, I mean, you can still do your geomancy reading. No matter where you are. You can just grab something off the ground and there you go. You just got to count. But I think that it aligns well. Caput Draconis and Degas align well because it's moving from one type of experience into another. Perhaps if you're ill, you're going to see a transition during this time to where you're going to get better. The virus takes I've been reading that it takes the time that it takes. For some people, the symptoms are mild. For some, they're not, and they require hospitalization. So again, do whatever you can to protect yourself right now. Wear masks, cloth masks if you're going out. There's lots of different kinds you can make. This is one that's, I did them out of pillowcases, and it's got the 4 strings on it. It's the pleated one. It's got a pocket in it, which I would advise, and this is what I've been doing. I just been taking just a needle and thread and just doing big stitches so that you can then pull it out when you get home, when you wash them. Because I put padding in there that I just threw away. But if I didn't, then I would take the padding out and wash the whole thing if it was cloth padding, like a wash rag or something like that. But another thing I read that's good to use are the shop towels, the blue shop towels. So that's what I'm going to do because I have some, actually. I happened to notice them out in the shop the other day. I'm like, ooh. and then I read that you actually use them. So you can fold them up and put them in, and then I would just stitch something so it doesn't come out. Or that it doesn't shift. So I kind of stitch it up high to keep it in place, and then just tie it around your face, and there you go. The other one I did isn't the pleated kind, and I did 2 pleated kinds in one of these, and so you've got it's just this type, so no pleats, it just fits over. And I just did the little crocheted ends to go around the ears because I don't have any elastic. And eventually, see, elastic's going to stretch out, so you're going to end up having to replace it or whatever. So I just decided that I would just do longer than necessary crocheted ends, and that way I can just retie them as the crochet yarn starts to straighten out and stretch out and not retain its stretchiness. And so you can just tie it after that. But it's got a pocket on the inside for, again, whatever padding you want to put in, just to give yourself a little extra protection, because these aren't designed, they're not N95 masks, and so they're not designed to truly protect you. So in a way, something like that can. But it's better than nothing, and, just keep yourself safe. The problem with this is it's one thing if you see somebody is sick, but you can be what's called asymptomatic, which means that you have symptoms but you don't feel them, and the virus can be incubating within you, and at some point it's going to come out and you're going to get sick. Now, maybe not as sick as others, but you still could get sick. Well, the problem is while that's happening, nobody knows it, including you. And so if you're not taking precautions like wearing a mask when you're out around people, wearing gloves, keeping your social distancing proper, if you're not at least 6 feet apart, and sneezing, I guess you even need to be even further apart, because it can go even further than that. Well, if you're not doing that, then I don't know. You're not keeping yourself or anyone else safe because, again, what if you're by someone that doesn't know they're ill, or what if you're that person and you don't know you're ill? You could be transmitting this and not even knowing it, and nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants that done to them. So again, if at all possible, if you don't need to be out, don't be out. If you have to, please go out protected. Treat everything as their own separate environment. In other words, don't, if you're wearing gloves into the store, take them off after you open your door. Spray your door handle, have some alcohol solution, spray your door handle, but open your door. Throw the gloves away or put them in a sealed baggie or something to throw them away at home if you can't find a garbage can in the parking lot. But don't wear your gloves that you wore in the store into your car. Okay, don't do that. That's called cross-contamination. You're going to have to start thinking like that. How am I transferring germs from one environment into this clean environment? Because you got into it to go, everything was fine, you get to the store, now you're in the contamination zone, right? Potentially, right? You don't want to recontaminate your car. So have provisions in the trunk when you put your groceries in there. Have your spray bottle. Take your gloves off after you've sprayed your handle on your door first, right? Spray your handles first that you're going to be touching. Clean them off. Then put your new glove. And then maybe even open your car door at that point. Just get it open. So all you got to do is take your elbow and open it. And then get in your car, but get in your car with new gloves on. Have a new pair there in either in your purse or in your pocket or in the backs or in the trunk of the car or something. But put something new on to get into the car. Or just a pair of, work gloves or something. Anything to get into the car without contaminating it. Yeah, that's where we are. So it can be done. It's irritating, but it can be done. You just have to think. And again, just think in terms of everything being its own separate environment and thinking of not contaminating, bringing something that's contaminated from one into the other environment. So, yeah, I mean, this is interesting, isn't it? We've got to think maybe in ways we're not accustomed to. If you've ever worked in the medical field, you know already, likely, what dealing with pathogens is all about. But if you don't, and you're not accustomed to gowning up and gloving up and masking up about stuff, well, now you're learning some things about what the medical professionals have to deal with all the time. You get someone who's got bed sores, that's virulent. You have to protect yourself. You can't deal with that patient unless you're masked up, gowned up. I mean, you've got to be covered. You have to be protected from the staph that could be in there. So people that have worked in nursing homes understand this. People that have worked in any kind of a hospital setting in any capacity understand this. But if you haven't, maybe listen to people that have and see what they're doing to try to get through this and to stay safe. So in any event, I guess that's enough. And come back tomorrow, click subscribe. I love you to do that. And it's always so much fun when I get, you have a new subscriber, yay. So anyway, this will go up on the blog over at Stepping Aside. Check that out over there if you want to. Also, I do a little checking in video. I've been trying to do a journal on Patreon, and I am remiss. I started it for yesterday. I didn't do it on Sunday, and then I didn't get back to it yesterday. I don't know what happened. I think that we're just kind of in this weird no man's land, and I don't know. We went outside. We were going to watch for anomalous craft in the sky. We thought we could do that. It would be warm enough, but it wasn't. So we had to come back in. So we're lightweights these days. But we'd like to go out again here soon and start up again. We do that every year, the whole season, until it gets too cold. We like to just go out every night and watch for craft in the sky. And you'd be amazed at the things you see that aren't aircraft. There's a lot of stuff up there, a lot of things going on. I love the ones where it's not an airplane because there's no other colored lights flashing, nothing's flashing, right? And it's going along and all of a sudden it just sort of phases out. That's always fun. But where we live, it's the skies are perfect for it. We live out, so we're in a rural area, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, so we're back to doing that now. So anyhow, come back tomorrow and again check out the blog. It's kind of my heart these days. So anyway, uh, we'll talk to you soon. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.